So the noon games are over, and the Big Ten championship, Big 12 championship, and Texas A&M game is all over, and all teams, almost all teams that were expected to win did win tonight or win today. Ohio State has cemented their spot in the playoff. I would believe, beating Northwestern 22-10. So that was a 12-point victory. They were favored by 20. But Northwestern's a pretty good team. They've got a great defense. They got great linebackers, and Ohio State was out 22 players, including their best receiver, Chris Olave. So, even winning by 12 was pretty good. The defense for Northwestern, and just Northwestern in general, their defense carried them this whole game. In the end, Ohio State was too much, and they succumbed to a loss. Justin Fields did not look like himself today. He did not have a touchdown pass today. He had 2 interceptions. He went 12 for 25 passing. Just not very good. Not like him to do that. I don't think I've ever seen him have a game like this. This is the worst I've ever seen him play. But his performance today was still enough to get Ohio State the win. That just proves, even when Justin Fields is, not playing the best, and when, you're out 22 players, and you're going up against a defense like Northwestern's, that's a good football team right there. Ohio State definitely deserves a playoff spot, and, the playoffs are still a couple weeks away. So by the time, not really that far away, maybe about a week, they should get all those players back. A lot of Ohio State players were out, some of them with COVID, some of them with other things, but they should get most of those guys back, including Chris Olave, and Justin Fields doesn't have a second bad game in a row. So I feel like they're going to be prepared for the playoffs, whoever they may play. Right now, they've got the 4th spot. It all depends on the ACC championship game. It all depends on the SEC championship game, which are both starting soon. The ACC championship, Notre Dame Clemson, starts in about 20 minutes as I'm recording this. And the Alabama-Florida game, which is the SEC championship game, starts at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And so that's about 4 hours away or so. So we'll see what happens with those games. But Ohio State, right there, they have won the Big Ten championship for the 4th year in a row, and deservedly so. What else has happened? Texas A&M, didn't look too hot against Tennessee, but they did win today. Texas A&M did not get a bowl game, or not a bowl game, a conference title game, because Florida and Alabama are in the SEC. They took the SEC championship game, and Texas A&M was not good enough apparently to get that spot. But Texas A&M is 5th ranked, and they defeated Tennessee 34-13. So Texas A&M, if you're a Texas A&M fan, you're hoping for a Clemson loss. Probably hope Texas A&M fans are going to be hoping Notre Dame can crush them, honestly, because I think, or at least win, because I can't see a two-loss Clemson team being in the playoffs. And at that point, I would say Ohio State will take that 3 position. If let's say Notre Dame does win, they take that 3. Ohio State's going to take that 3 position. Notre Dame's going to have that 2 position, and Texas A&M will have that 4th position. You'll see Alabama, Texas A&M in the semifinals, and you'll see Notre Dame, Ohio State in the other semifinal game. But it all depends on what happens in the ACC and SEC championship game. So Texas A&M, they just need to hope for a couple of things to happen, such as, mainly Notre Dame beating Clemson. That would be their best bet, because I think even if Notre Dame loses a close one today, they'll still get that 4th position. Or, probably that 4th position. And we could see, at that point we would probably see Clemson take that 2 position and Ohio State take that 3 position. And then we would see Clemson and Ohio State again in the semifinal game, just like last year. And we would see Alabama Notre Dame in the other semifinal game. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the playoff committee chooses tomorrow, so we'll see what happens with that. The other big game that happened today that has already been finished is Iowa State and Oklahoma, the Big 12 championship. Iowa State needed a win. They are 6th ranked. They were probably hoping for a Texas A&M loss, and if they could have won this game by a significant margin against a 10th ranked Oklahoma, then they could have, argued that they deserve that 4th spot, especially if Notre Dame beats Clemson and Texas A&M didn't look too great against an unranked Tennessee. But that didn't happen. Oklahoma wins the Big 12 championship for the 6th year in a row, which is very impressive, by a score of 27-21. So Oklahoma, they're not going to make a playoff appearance, but neither is Iowa State. So with Iowa State losing and Texas A&M winning, I think honestly at this point, Florida, who is number 7, their only chance of making a playoff appearance is if they win today against Alabama, and then maybe they could argue that they deserve that spot since, the 4th ranked, or since Texas A&M did win, though. I don't think it'll happen, but you could argue Florida would deserve that 4th spot, and Alabama, honestly, would probably still be in with a loss to Florida, but they would not have that number 1 position. They might go down to 3 or 4. I don't know what's going to happen, but Ohio State wins Big Ten championship. They've cemented, the only team right now that has cemented their spot in the playoffs, likely at the 4th position or 3rd. No, you're probably going to take the 3rd or 2nd position depending on what happens in the ACC championship game. They're going to go up. They're going to play either number 2 or number 3. I can't see them playing the number 1 team in the semifinal. I don't think it'll happen, but you never know what'll happen. They could keep that position. You could say Clemson might beat let's say Clemson beats Notre Dame in a close one today. They might just flip positions. I don't know. I think Ohio State will still go up to number 3, though, at least. So that's what's happened so far. Right now, if everything goes according to the what is predicted to happen, we would see a playoff of Alabama, Clemson, probably Ohio State and Notre Dame in the taking those spots. So, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if Notre Dame can get the win for the 2nd time against Clemson, this time playing against Trevor Lawrence, and we'll see if Alabama can get that win over Florida, or Florida can resurrect their season after losing to LSU last week in an embarrassing game. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see where other teams goes. But that is it for right now, and yeah.